Okay, happy to see you all. So we kind of, every thought counts. Everything we think and do and say programs us. And we can, as Lama Zopa says, we can mold our mind into any shape we like. We are the boss. So we're going to do a little practice that's we call purification. It's like pulling out the weeds. You know, some practices you grow the flowers, and some practices you grow you pull out the weeds. This is kind of pulling out the weeds, and then it leaves space for the flowers. That's the point. That's the function. You know. So we think we're just this little 30 minutes, 25 minutes now. Sorry. We're going to just do this little practice. Have these thoughts, having confidence that every thought does count. This is essentially what Buddha is saying, which is quite radical because you think about the world. Lama Zopa Rinpoche said one time, this is very shocking, but think about it, that the vast majority of humans on this planet have absolutely no idea that what goes on in their mind plays any role at all in their lives. So it's like literally the opposite of the Buddha's view about karma, that in fact, every millisecond of what we think, what goes on in our mind, is the main player in our life. So it's quite shocking, the difference. But that's the view we have in our world. You know, we think it doesn't matter what we think. We really think that. It's quite fascinating. And it takes us time to hear the Buddha's view, you know. Every millisecond what we think, and then of course do and say, none of it goes astray. Everything programs our mind, leaves seeds in our mind, leaves imprints in our mind, leaves tendencies in our mind, which we kind of understand. When we play music and learn math, we know exactly that that's what's happening. Every time you study the music and you play the piano, what are you doing? You're programming your mind with musical theory. I mean, we're not surprised by that, but when it comes to other types of, when it comes to morality and happiness and suffering and anger and love and compassion, we do not think that. It's very fascinating. But for the Buddha, it's all the same. Mind is the mind. Whatever you do with your mind, you program your mind with that. So here, then we just kind of try and do it really casually, try and think of it as an ordinary, activity. At the end of the day, we kind of check up. We do a little bit of kind of checking up on how we've been, So it's these 4 R's, the 4 R's. What was we say in Australia and Boston? R's. Okay. So we have regret, which is this acknowledgement, this kind of ownership, this confident, grown-up acknowledgement that I did in fact do that dumb thing, said that dumb thing. And then we have this attitude, we'll just think it, now be very casual, let's start to think of some of the actions, let's say today. I mean, we all love to badmouth with our speech, we badmouth the politicians, we badmouth the next door neighbor. We do these things all the time. So if there's anything we can think of that we've done, let's say, first of all, with our body today, and then if not today, think about yesterday, day before, this life, maybe certain particular actions we've done with our body. First of all, the actions that we've done with our body and then our speech that have harmed others. All actions, negative ones, harm us. But here the heaviest ones are those that also harm others. So let's contemplate those for a second. Just remember in your life, anything you can think of that you've done to harm others. Like, I always think of the abortion when I was 23. There was a sentient being in my womb, and I organized the abortion. The animals we've killed, the little creatures we've killed, Things we've done with our body, like, say, steal things, take things that haven't been given to us. Maybe cheat on our partner or cheat on someone else's. Things we've done with our body. Just try and recall a few things we've done with our body that are actions that have harmed others. And because we don't think they're so severe, like killing ants and things, who thinks about killing ants? We think it's nothing special. But Buddha's got quite a different view, hasn't he? That all sentient beings want to be happy. All sentient beings don't want to be harmed. So out of our ignorance, mostly, I mean, obviously aversion and ignorance, we kind of didn't think it mattered. So here we are, let's concentrate. So I think we've done those actions, harmed those beings, cheated on that person, killed that baby. And we mightn't think of it so brutally, you know, whatever we've done. So we think, and then we think, well, if it's true, as Buddha says, that our minds go back and back and back and back, and as many moments as there are and as many lifetimes that we've had, obviously we've done something. So we think, you know, I regret having done those actions out of my ignorance, out of my foolishness, because you know what, Robina, you say to yourself, you're talking to yourself here, I don't want future suffering. And so we're taking as our view here with confidence that everything we think and do and say leave seeds that will ripen in the future. So I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be stolen from. I don't want to be cheated on in the future. I don't want suffering. That's absolutely clear. And if you can think about it, I don't want to be born in the lower realms and have no clarity in the mind, no ability to do anything, just live in fear and delusions. I don't want that. So for this reason, we regret the causes of these things. Like, you know, you don't want diabetes, so you regret having eaten that sugar. My goodness, what have I done? You know, what a fool. I don't want diabetes. It's like that. That's the analogy. So this first step is compassion for ourselves. It's very important to think of it like that. Not this heavy, punitive, I'm a bad person. Nor I shouldn't have done that. That's not regret. That's just anger. So it's out of foolishness, we've done actions that have left seeds in our mind that we don't want to ripen in the future as our suffering. It's very simple. Real compassion for yourself. Your body, speech. And then think of your mind, your delusions, you know, the depression, the anxiety, the anger, the attachment. We've all got these. Of course I regret these. They're just programming my mind more and more with these ridiculous habits. I'm sick of suffering, you know. So that's what they mean by renunciation. It's nothing special. It just means being sick of suffering. So we regret causing it because we're sick of suffering. If we've lived in vows, you know, we've had vows in past lives, surely. So we regret any broken vows, broken samaya, the weakening of our commitments, our vows to our lamas. Because I don't want future suffering. I want to stay close to the Dharma. I want to stay close to my teachers. You know, I don't want to be disrupted, my practice to be disrupted. So I regret because I don't want suffering. So whom can I turn to? Who's the doctor? Where's the doctor? That's the attitude here. Not like Christianity where you've then begged God to forgive you. That's not the issue here. I always say Buddha's a very nice person. He would forgive you. That's not what purifies us. So important to think like that. It's we who purify us. That's a surprise, you know. We are the ones who change our minds, so we are the ones who purify. We rely upon the Buddha. Yes, absolutely. He's got the methods. He's the best doctor. So we visualize above our head. The second step now, reliance. The first part, we visualize, imagine the Buddha in the tantric aspect. You've got the sutra aspect, and that's Shakyamuni Buddha, you know, the monk who lived 2,500 years ago as a monk. Then you've got the aspect according to the bodhisattva path and the tantric aspect of a bodhisattva looking radiant and gorgeous in silken clothes and kind of holding a dorji in his right hand, his bell, and his left hand crossed at his heart, which kind of symbolizes the union of the two truths, the union of the two wings of the bird. Radiantly beautiful. He's sitting above our head, facing the same way as us. And he's made of light, subtle light body, sitting on a multicolored lotus. And on the lotus is a sun disk and a moon disk, like two flat cushions, which represent wisdom and compassion. We can't sort of see them. Everything's radiant, make our mind very happy. And if we have a spiritual teacher, person we've chosen as our Lama, our Guru, our person who for us is the Buddha, then we think it's their mind manifesting as Vajrasattva. Same thing. You know, there's a way to think about this. It sounds strange, but you listen. You know, Pabonka Rinpoche says, if the Guru isn't the Buddha, then who is? Which sounds very curious to us. We can't get that. But listen, it's a bit like what these deities are, these pictures of Tara, Chenrezig, Vajrasattva. You know, it's like a drawing of an idealized person. Like, you know, let's say you want to think of a perfect tennis player. You know, you just do the perfect drawing. Let's say it's, you know, a female tennis player, and you draw the best tennis player, a perfect tennis player with the perfect legs, the perfect feet, the perfect shaped arms, the best biceps. Everything's perfect to be the perfect tennis player. That's like the deities. So it's not personal. There's just a face there. So whose face do you put on it? Federer, Serena Williams, whoever is your personal tennis player. So Tara is Tara is Tara, but anybody can be Tara. So for us, Tara is our Lama. For us, Chenrezig is our Lama. For us, Vajrasattva is our Lama. We put the name of our teacher on that generic image of Tara. That's how the Buddha is the Guru and the Guru is the Buddha. You can't separate. Excuse me. So we have that feeling of closeness. Our Lama manifesting as Vajrasattva for our benefit. How fantastic, how kind, you know. So we just delight that we've got a doctor, delight we found a person who's got methods that we can use to help purify our minds. How fantastic, how fortunate. And the second step is now we have compassion for those we have harmed. This is also under the heading Reliance. Insofar as here now, you know, the first step is regretting for your own sake. Now we're sort of like regretting for the sake of others. So compassion, how can you have compassion if you don't ever meet a person who is suffering? Not possible, is it? So in that sense, they talk about relying upon sentient beings. As Geshe Sopa said, you know, I remember leaning forward and saying, you know, bodhisattvas rely upon their enemies. That's the best one to have compassion for. So now think of those we've harmed. That baby who came to your womb, those ants that you killed, the mice, the boyfriend you cheated on, the money you stole that you took from somebody. Just think of the different things, you know. And now we think of those sentient beings we harmed because of our actions. And now we think we must purify for their sake. Have such compassion for their suffering, you know. Just think about some of them. Your parents, maybe you were so mean to. So now if you can, think of those who have harmed you. Everybody on the planet has somebody who harms them. A dog that bites you, the boyfriend that cheats on you, the parents that abuse you. So why should we have compassion for them? Because we are all in the same boat. We all suffer because of our past actions, and we will suffer because of our present actions. So all these people who've harmed you, they will suffer in the future. So have such compassion for them, if you can. If you can't, leave it there. So now, third step, the remedy. Remember, you know, we think, oh, we're visualizing Buddha, we're imagining doing this and imagining doing that. How can that help? Well, because it's your mind, honeys. Your mind, everything your mind does that job. You know, as Lama Zopa says, the more confidence you have when we are visualizing that we are actually purifying, guess what purifies you? That mind with that intensity, that confidence, that's what purifies. So we now visualize Lama Chenrezig so compassionately sending from his heart this radiant, like hose of energy, like these very intense hoses, you know, that make all the leaves go down the gutter, you know. Imagine now all this intense liquid energy forcefully coming from Lama Vajrasattva's heart, entering, arcing around, entering our crown and forcing into us, and then totally driving out every atom of negativity, all the imprints of the actions done with our bodies since beginningless time, and it forcefully leaves all the lower parts of our body like filthy liquid, and it disappears into space, not one atom left. We're so delighted to visualize this as we were singing the mantra 3 times. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Cheno Patita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsam Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhung Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsa Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsam Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe. Totally full of this blissful nectar. How amazing. All the negativity of bodies disappeared. So now Lama Vajrasattva so compassionately this time sends from this nectar from his heart, it arcs around, enters us and very forcefully, and this time all the liquid, all the blissful white nectar, it drives out all the negativity of our speech, and that's really us humans. We mightn't do much with our bodies, but look at our speech, lying, speculating, misleading people, harsh speech, bad mouthing behind backs, just talking rubbish, wasting out this powerful energy of speech, which is so important. So all of this nonsense driven out, but all forced up to the surface of our body, leaving through the upper parts of our body, disappearing into space, not one atom left. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsa Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsa Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsa Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe. Full of this nectar. How amazing. All the nonsense of our speech disappeared. So now Lama Vajrasattva so compassionately this time sends beams of light, laser beams of light from his heart that arc around, enter our crown, and instantly fill us, and instantly, therefore, annihilate all the delusions, because they're the source of everything. These deeply ingrained, deeply instinctive, but not intrinsically, not at the core of our beings, the entire point. They don't define us, therefore can be removed. All of these delusions instantly gone, full of this radiant white light, so happy, purified completely. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopatita Dido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsa Me Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabhava Mahasamaya Sattva Ahung Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dito Mebawa Surashayo Mebawa Subashayo Mebawa Anoracha Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Meprayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsame Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajraba Mahasama Sattva Ahung Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dito Mebawa Surashayo Mebawa Subashayo Mebawa Anoracha Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Meprayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsame Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajraba Mahasama Sattva Ahung Pe. All now the obstacles of liberation. Imagine we've achieved liberation from samsara now. But still more to do. We go into the compassion wing, and in the combination of bodhicitta, we now remove even the subtlest imprints in the mind. They call them the obstacles to omniscience, which is what bodhicitta helps us achieve. And this time you visualize all three together. I never know quite how to do it, but that's what the lamas say. So maybe do one, then and the next, and the third, three of them. All the neck going down, all the neck coming up, all the light. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dita Mebawa Sudoshaya Mebawa Subashaya Mebawa Hanoracha Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Memprayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsame Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajraba Mahasama Sattva Ahung Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dita Mebawa Sudoshaya Mebawa Subashaya Mebawa Hanoracha Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Memprayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsame Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajraba Mahasama Sattva Ahung Pe. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Teno Patita Dito Mebawa Sudoshaya Mebawa Subashaya Mebawa Anoracha Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Memprayatsa Sawa Karma Sutsame Siddham Shriyam Kuru Hong Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajramami Musa Vajraba Mahasama Sattva Ahung Pe. So how amazing. Now all the delusions purified, even the obstacles of omniscience, we've achieved Buddhahood. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So now the fourth step, the most important, Bhagwan Rinpoche says, is make some decisions. We know perfectly well if we don't make a decision to do something, if we don't intend to do something, we will not do it. So this is why this is most powerful. So we think we've got lay vows or other vows. We think the main ones. Think now. I will never kill. I will never steal. I will never lie. I will never badmouth. Lie. I will never cheat on partners. And if you're none, I will never whatever. Break the main ones. Every time you say that, it makes it stronger in your mind. Therefore, protects you from doing it. This is the point about vows, and that's your mind. The vows aren't something mysterious. They're your mind. We can mold our mind into any shape we like. When we have confidence in this, it's mind-blowing because we just feel like we're victims, This is really inappropriate. So we make decisions. And then we're going to do our best to change our old rubbish habits. For 5 minutes, I won't be so lazy. For 10 minutes, I won't rabbit on about nothing. Just make some simple decisions about your silly old habits. Talk to yourself. Make some decisions. For 1 month, I will not lie. Just certain. If you haven't taken a vow, let's say, and you got a habit, So look at your old habits and make some decisions. How are you going to change? 1 day, for an hour, for a year, for a month, for 5 minutes, whatever you think you can accomplish. Make some decisions. So now, Lama Vajrasattva so happily dissolves into light and absorbs through your crown, and the energy of the Guru, energy of the Buddha, and mine, our own, all merge. Now we just think the 3 circles, they call it. We think that the actor, I, am completely empty. the action of commit negative karma, creating negative karma, is empty, and the karma is empty. Well, almost the object is empty. So everything has no intrinsic nature. Part of our problem is we believe things are set in stone, which is the opposite of emptiness. It's the opposite of dependent arising. Nothing is set in stone. Things are real, but they're not set in stone. Things function, but they're not set in stone. So I think everything has no intrinsic nature, including negativity, including I, including negative karma. But nevertheless, they do function to cause suffering. This is the two truths together. And that's it. Done. 30 minutes, 25 minutes of positive thoughts. How fantastic.